Hey guys, Anjanette Russell here. I hope everyone is doing well and staying healthy. And we are going to talk about chapter 1 from our book, Infancy, Development from Birth to Age 3. Hopefully everyone has been able to get access to the book. If not, and you've ordered it and it's coming in, hopefully it'll come in soon. I know some shipping has been delayed due to COVID-19, so I apologize for that happening if you're waiting for it to come to your house, but hopefully it arrives soon. So, chapter 1, Beliefs About Babies, Historical Perspectives on Children and Childhood. I'm not going to stand here and read you the whole chapter. That would be pretty boring and a big snooze fest, but I am going to hit on some highlights that the chapter talked about and give you my own personal take on things that it discussed in the chapter. I thought it was interesting how it talked about the concept of a wet nurse and how a lot of countries that was really common back in the 1900s and everything. And I know my personal beliefs now, and I'm like a super germaphobe freak, and I'm like, oh, why would you do that? That's crazy. But that was the norm back then. You know, that's how cultures were. That's what they did. They gave birth to a child, and then someone else was able to nurse that child. Nursing is very, very, very difficult. A lot of people try to tell you it's all rainbows and butterflies and unicorns, and it can be like that, but it also is terrible and painful and excruciating and agonizing, and you're not producing enough breast milk, and then you get worried, or your child's not latching on properly, and then you get worried, or your nipples are sore and it feels like someone has dragged you across sharp broken glass that's got sand mixed in it, and then they're dragging you and your nipples are just like scraping across that. It hurts. It's not fun. And then I was actually texting with a parent that just had her second child over the weekend, and I was like, oh, how are things going? You know, how is it, you know, breastfeeding and everything? And she was like, good, except for the fact that my nipples are incredibly sore, and every time my milk comes down, it feels like lightning bolts are, you know, going through my body. And I was like, can I please tell this to my 3,900 students? They would love it. So yes, that's what it feels like. It's like shooting electricity going through your breast. And then almost when the baby is like sucking, it feels like someone is pulling like a string out of your nipple, right? Almost like a dental floss type pull. So yeah, it's very crazy. Some women are really successful with nursing, and that's amazing, and other women are not as successful. Luckily, Athens has a very good community of helping women support each other with the whole breastfeeding movement, which is really nice. But yeah, so I thought that was an interesting part of the chapter as well. There is another part that it talks about, you know, the nature versus nurture, and how does that look, and what is it like when children, you know, have this type of genetic history, but then are raised by a completely different family. You know, one thing in our family that's really important is we spend a ton of time outside. We're either going camping, or we're going to the beach, or we're going to the mountains, we're doing something outside of our house. We're always outside. And Rochelle, when she was right at 1 year old, that was her first word, was outside. And it was clear as day. And she would go to the door at our house, and she would bang on the door and say, outside, 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 outside. And we're like, okay, we're gonna go outside. You know, that's what we're gonna do. And she loved it. She loved every bit of being outside, doing things. It was funny when she was in the infant room, and she was probably around, I'm gonna say like 5 months old in the infant room at the CDL. And we just got back from being at the beach, you know, and they went and they put her teachers went and put her feet in the grass, in the wet grass. It was wet from the dew. And she made this face of, what are you doing to me? And I was like, you know, I don't think her feet have ever touched the grass before, you know, and it kind of made me think, like, we're outside a lot, but either I'm holding her, or she's in a stroller, or that type of thing. You know, we're walking around, she's in the little baby Bajorn thing, and I'm carrying her around. or we put a blanket down and she's there, because we have fire ants all over our yard. It's insane. And she learned very quickly to watch out for fire ant mounds. We'd be walking along as she got older, and I'd be like, that's not dirt, those are fire ants. They will bite you and it will hurt, And so, luckily she's never stepped in fire ants, unlike Jacob, who is 3, and this past summer we actually went to a drag race up in Commerce, and we were there, and it was super hot in the stands, and he was like, I gotta go potty. I'm like, all right, let's go potty, and we'll go get some water. We were walking down through the little entryway where the bleachers are, like up under the bleachers. We were walking down there, and I see one of Josh's coworkers' spouses, and I was like, hey, what are you doing here? This is amazing. And we're talking and everything. Try to stay 6 feet apart, but still excited to see each other. And then Jacob starts screaming, and I'm like, what is he doing? What is going on? And I look, he was standing in an ant mound, and ants were all over him. And I'm like, what are you doing? So we got him all cleaned up. They were all in his sandals. We got his sandals off, went into the bathroom, washed his legs off, and he was like, it hurts, it hurts. I'm like, yeah, dude, it's gonna hurt. Like, I'm sorry that happened. That stinks, So we went back up to the bleachers, and I told Rochelle what had happened, because she was there with her dad. And Rochelle was like, Jacob, you've got to be sure to look where you're standing, because sometimes ant hills look like dirt, but it's really a bunch of ants, and they will bite you. And it was the cutest thing ever that, like, she was giving him her advice, is something that she had learned from us, from being a child and being outside and interacting with nature and all that good stuff. So yeah, I think that is very interesting. Both of my children have had the same type of, 2-parent family. We both work, we're loving, we're caring, all that stuff. But they are both extremely different. Like, they could not be any more different. The only thing that's the same is they kind of look the same, and they have the same exact cry. That's it. Jacob will drink 10 gallons of water in a day. Rochelle will drink a half a cup of water in a day. Like, he's always thirsty, always wanting water, always drinking it. And she's like, oh, I'm so thirsty. And she takes like a half a sip, and she's like, I'm done for the rest of the day. I don't need more water. Everything's good. Their poops smell different. There are some children whose siblings, their poops smell the same. Their poops smell totally different. I wipe both their butts, I know. Jacob, when he was an infant, he would poop 7 or 8 times a day. Rochelle would poop once every other day. It was just differences, and they both consumed breast milk from me. They both ate the same type of foods. It's just how their bodies handle the food and nutrients and all that stuff. It's really crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, children are different. So I think it's really important to remember, if you are dealing with a child and the sibling or something, to not try to compare them. I know it is so easy for teachers and therapists and nurses and doctors to try to compare and be like, oh, well, your brother was like this, so you're going to be like that. No, they're 2 totally separate individuals. And that even goes with, twins and that type of thing. They're each their own person and that type of thing. There was a family that had twins the same year. Rochelle was in the young toddler room. One was a boy and one was a girl in the set of twins. And it was funny because the little girl was like super tough. She didn't need any help from anybody. She got out of the car coming into school and she would just walk right in. And then their boy, he was always being carried, and he was very much a clingy, more needy child in that emotional aspect. And that's just how their family was, once again, twins, same family, same environment growing up, and just 2 totally separate individuals. So yeah, just keep that in mind and that type of thing. I do want to ask you, so this is going to be your discussion question for this class, for the Chapter 1 lecture. I want to ask you, what is your goal after you graduate? You might graduate in December, you might graduate in May. you might not even graduate till the following May, right? May of 2022. So yeah, what is your goal when you graduate? What do you want to be working with? Who do you want to work with? What do you want to be dealing with? Do you want to be a nurse? Do you want to be a dentist? Do you want to be an occupational therapist? Do you want to be a child life specialist? If you can tell me what your goal is, then I can try to curtail our guest speakers to kind of focus on what you guys want to hear about. I've already had one student reach out to me about the whole being a midwife thing. So we've got a midwife guest speaker that's scheduled to give us a virtual introduction and all that stuff about what she does. So yeah, just tell me what you want to do when you not grow up, because I don't think we ever really grow up. I mean, I'm 37 and I still sometimes act like I'm 10. But yeah, what do you want to do after you graduate? And that can help me out. So that will be your discussion for this lecture. There might not be a place to post it yet. Our TA Bill had a family situation where he had a death in the family, so he went out of town. So we're going to give him a little bit of time to get that up and running. Hopefully you should see something by Thursday of this week for a place to post your response to this discussion question. So let me know if you have any questions about that. I'm trying to think what else was in the chapter that was really intense and exciting that we want to talk about. Please excuse me while I look and see. Nature versus nurture, we talked about that. Also, if you have questions about something, please email me, okay? I know this is a new type of thing that we're going through, so don't be afraid to email me. Also, this is not for a discussion, but I just want you to think about this. Why do you think we study infants and young children, right? Like, what's the purpose of that? Like, yeah, they're cute. Yeah, they're funny. Yeah, they do fun things. There's a child in the young toddler class now, and if you get a chance to become a sub and come and interact, it's an amazing class. They're super fun. But we got him to say cock-a-doodle-doo, and he would go boo, and it was the cutest thing ever. And we would just go around saying cock-a-doodle-doo, and he would go boo. But yeah, like, what's the purpose in studying infants and children? Like, what can we possibly learn from them? Can we learn from them, right? I just want you to think about that. Little critical thinking period for this, right? But that is not the discussion post, so, but you can feel free to talk about that if you want. Yeah, there's been a lot of research done over the years, and the next chapter will delve more into research, and I have some fun things to talk about with that, which is super exciting. I'm trying to think. Yeah, children, they're all different. They're all wonderful. They do things in their own time. I know, especially with Rochelle, she was very timid and slow and cautious. So her birthday is March 9th, but she was in a class who children turned 1 in September, and then she didn't turn 1 until March, and then some children didn't turn 1 until June. So that was kind of her class dynamic. And she was the last one to walk, right? She was not motivated at all to walk. And we would do these exercises where we'd hold her up, up under her arms and try to get her to walk and move, and she would support herself. She had no interest at all. None. She could care less. She was like, I don't need to walk. I got people to carry me around. I got a stroller. This is great. So then we had Jacob, second child. We were like, man, he's gonna walk super quick. He's gonna be amazing. This is gonna be phenomenal. We were way wrong, right? We were like, oh, he's gonna want to catch up with his big sister to see what she's doing. No, we could not have been more wrong. So she walked at 16 months, which is very delayed, right? He didn't walk till he was 17 months old. We were like, what are you doing, kid? Why are you not walking? He actually had 2 more weeks, and then we were gonna have to go back to his pediatrician and be like, hey, he's not walking. Let's sign up for physical therapy. What's going on? He had super strong leg muscles. He would sit, and I will get the video and I will share it with you guys. He would sit in his car seat, and he would kick his legs back and forth and move the car seat. So the car seat is like rocking while sitting like on the ground or whatever. Obviously not in a car because it's latched in and it can't move, but he would just kick his feet and just get the whole car seat rocking, and he would just rock himself back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So yeah, we're trying to sign him up for soccer. If COVID-19 will go away, then he can play soccer. He really wants to play. He's been asking us for like a year and a half now. Mom, when are you gonna sign me up for soccer ball? He calls it soccer ball. But yeah, so kids are different. Children will do things in their own time. There are times when there are delays, and there is a questionnaire that you will get once you become a parent called the Ages and Stages questionnaire. It's very common. We actually get one both from the school and our pediatrician. So every milestone you can see when they're supposed to be hitting it, if they're delayed, that type of thing. And yeah, there was a point where on Jacob's gross motor, he got a 0 out of like 60. Like 60 is the high, 0 is the low. He got a 0, right? He was 0, big goose egg. And I talked to my pediatrician, and he was like, he did all these things and examining his legs and moving his feet back and forth and doing all this stuff with his feet and knees and everything. And he was like, he will get there, I promise. I'm like, okay, I'm leaving it up to you. And that's another thing, finding an amazing pediatrician who understands your needs as a parent, understands you, what you expect. That is super important. So when I was pregnant with Rochelle, I called around to different pediatrician offices in the Athens area. At the time, we lived in Social Circle, but I was like, well, she's gonna go to school in Athens, so if she's at school and she gets a fever and I wanna take her to the doctor, I don't want to drive her 45 minutes to go to the doctor. I wanna drive 10 minutes to go to the doctor. So that worked out really well. And then we ended up moving a year later into just north of Athens. So it was a good choice to have a pediatrician close to where we work and where we went to school and now where we live. But yeah, I called him, I met with him, we had a little interview type thing. It was not really like a job interview, but I definitely had specific questions because I wanted to see what his answer was going to be. And one of those questions was, hey, if it's 3:30 on a Friday afternoon, does your office close at noon on Friday so everyone can go home and be with their families? Or do you work till 6 o'clock on Friday to see the children that get sick at 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon? He was like, oh no, we are here till, our office stays open till 5. That's when we see our last patient. And then we will stay until all the patients have been seen. And there's definitely been times where I've been there at 5:45 on a Friday, and the nurses are super sweet. I mean, you can tell they're like, we want to go home, but we want your child to be seen and taken care of and getting the appropriate medication that they need to feel better. So, to me, that's an important thing because children don't just get sick, Monday through Thursday. They get sick on Friday, and Saturday, Sunday, and all that stuff. So yeah, finding a good pediatrician that you guys meet eye to eye. And I really enjoy him also because he explains things in technical terms and then layman's terms, right? So he gives me all the appropriate vocabulary that he should be using, and I'm like, all right, tell me what's really going on. And then he'll show me pictures and draw me cute little diagrams, and he's like, this is what's happening, this is what we need to work on. I'm like, okay, perfect, I love it. But yeah, so that's that. Also for this class, we are looking for someone that can be a note taker. That might be a little bit difficult considering it is a virtual class. And I know the big thing with me having a note taker is having someone that takes good notes and then being able to get that to the appropriate person that needs it. So if you are interested in being a note taker, if you would want to shoot me an email, adsmith@uga.edu. It's also on the syllabus. You can send me an email and say, hey, I'm interested in being a note taker. That would be amazing. And like I said before, with the midterm and the final, there will be extensive study guides that go out within plenty of time. So if you complete the study guide, you'll get an A on the midterm and final. So I hope that helps. I'm trying to think of any other questions people might have. There's been some talk and questions about us having like an actual Zoom meeting. I'll have to look more into that and see if that's something we could do. I do this actually because our actual scheduled class time, as you know, is from 11:10 to 12:25. And if you've been in the Young Toddler classroom, that's a crazy time, right? Lots of things are happening in that time. But there might be a day or two that we could do like a live Zoom meeting if people wanted to join in and like chit chat or talk or ask questions or that type of thing. So yeah, and if you're interested in that, also send me an email and let me know, and I can get some feedback as to who would be interested, who would want to join. You know, is there a large interest where half the class would want to join, or maybe just one or two people? And we'll see what works out for everybody. I hope you got the book. I hope you enjoyed the chapter. I hope you enjoyed this lecture, and I will see you guys again on Thursday. All right, thanks again.